Now, my baby. I always like to tell the story. We call it the log cabin story a little bit, but it's important because it brings you right back to here 20 years ago. And people that have been around spinal cord injury for over 20 years, they've seen this topic being bounced around in so many different ways and morphing in different ways. And how many of us have heard the consumer say, "I will walk again, just watch me," and then things kind of fade into the ether a little bit. When I had my injury back in '87, I was one of those guys as well that said, "There's got to be more to this. I think I will one day walk again." And I remember saying that it was kind of the deaf ears. And I remember right from the neurosurgeon through various nurses at the trauma center saying, "Barry, that's a false hope. Don't think about it. It'll never happen. Get on with your life." I said, okay. But I did know one thing when I heard that speech is I thought to myself, well, if you don't do anything, you're right. But if you do something, then there's still that question mark. And I started looking into it, and as were voices all over the world at the time, and a grassroots started to form, really, and organizations started popping up throughout the whole world. And one of those such organizations was a forerunner of the Canadian Spinal Research Organization. But what makes it interesting, too, is at the time, there was a few of us here at Lyndhurst that was wanting to hear more about research. And we've invited the then president of the CSRO to come in and speak to us. Only to find out that, again, this is no reflection on the current administration, 20 years later, that, they're not allowed to come in. And we were banished to the basement. And we met in secrecy in one of the subrooms off the cafeteria one evening. Because research and cure was false hope. We firmly believe that people will not get out of bed if they think a cure is around the corner and go to rehab. That was the line that we got. And what they forgot about is that's kind of an insult to some people out there that kind of realize that, hey, it's not a light switch, it's not going to happen today, but it's sort of part of a larger goal down the road. And yeah, I got to learn how to get on with my life, there's no doubt about it. So it wasn't giving us enough credit, I think. But that's where it was then. I remember at the time, and I was asking about what was going on and what was happening in research. And, it was that very generic question. And this question I've answered all the time for people that have the injury very soon, and they're very new to the injury, and they're asking that famous question: where are we with research? And I say, well, and I go back to those years. And when he said, well, Barry, it's really up to us. Nobody's doing it for us. It's up to us. And again, that's we're a grassroots organization. And it's really a simple matter of the more people that get involved, and from a fundraising perspective, the more people that get behind it, the sooner it will happen. And he said that there's really two challenges here. One is to prove that it can happen, and to get people thinking like that. And the other is basically to get it done. Well, it's funny how it kind of creeps along, and in time, the first question kind of got answered. I mean, remember when Christopher Reeve had his injury, and we know how he spoke about research and cure. And he wasn't necessarily considered the heretic he would have been 10 years earlier, because they weren't really challenging the if part, it was more the when. And that was an exciting milestone for us as people that are advocates for research, because we realized that we've now overcome the first hurdle. The next part is just getting it done. Now, we benefited, and I say we, people with spinal cord injuries, because it's been a proliferation of information in neuroscience. So the advancements in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, ALS, brain injury, we're all benefiting together. So what we learn about neurology and the things that we can do to, number one, prohibit and stop cell death. Number two, enhance and grow cells. All of those things come into play. What we also realize now too is that it's not going to be a silver bullet, and it's going to be a cocktail, and it's going to be different for everybody. And there's going to be slow advancements, slow things that eventually move along to the part where all of a sudden we're getting increased function. And increased function is a big deal. We're not talking walking around. How about having that bowel get back again? Or what about that bladder control thing? And no one's going to knock sexual function here and there, but that's besides the point. But those things are quality of life issues. Those things can give the ability of a person to be independent or not. The ability to get out of your bed in a transfer where you just couldn't quite do it before. Wow, that's huge. So those are the advancements that we push, and eventually we'll get there. The example I used, when I was a younger person, a while ago I guess, was looking, when someone got leukemia, when I was a kid, you died. You're dead. And now it's what, a 75% cure rate? But it's not a cure. It's early detection, it's the various therapies and treatments, it's how they've dealt with it along the way. That's how I see this thing going. It's slowly, we're going to be doing things that are going to be improving the quality of life through scientific research. And it can be a matter of daily living issues to outright increased function. And that's exciting. And we will see that, because it's getting closer. And I'll tell you, 20 years later, it's a lot closer than I ever thought it would be. And it's exciting. So now I hear, it's a bit of a cautious approach when we talk to people that are newly injured that, hey, they're doing some stuff. It's not quite around the corner, but they're working on it. But we say, for more information, come to us. We'll show you. And you know what? You want to really get involved? Come to us. We'll talk to you how you can do it. My biggest problem I have as chair of the CSRO, every once in a while I get that phone call from the guy. Hi, Barry, this is Fred from Alberta. You know, you got that cure thing yet? God damn it, I want it now. Oh, sorry, Fred. You know, and meanwhile you find out Fred actually had the largest settlement in Alberta history. But Fred did not donate 1 cent to research. Why is that, Fred? See, it's like part of that old hydro commercial, you know. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That's how I treat it with people with spinal cord injuries. You know, you got to get involved before you start challenging me on your rights to know what's going on. That's my thing. Gets me through the day. We do, and then from the research side of it too, we have to address issues that are daily issues that we deal with, and obviously we know about chronic pain and spinal cord injury. It's a big deal. We try to address it in the manual as well, and we think that's important that people know about it. And there's things that we're trying to do and things that we're working on to help people with that.